DGB.
Go.
Hello everybody, it's Eldon Juliano here, flamenco guitarist extraordinary. This is a standard tune guitar. There's a standard C chord, standard F, standard G. We have the partial capo here, which is able to block 3 strings. Now, if everybody's familiar with dadgad, what dadgad is lowering the bottom E string down 1 note, the top B string down 1 note, and the top E string down 1 note, and that becomes D, A, D, G, A, D, dadgad. But what this capo does is, if you pretend the nut is now there, that is now the nut, by blocking those strings I mentioned before, by blocking the 3 strings that you don't tune down, it has in effect lowered these 3 strings that you tune down by 1 note. What that is technically is giving you a dadgad, but it's a modal dadgad, it's not a pure chord. To get a pure chord, you put your first finger on the 2nd fret, that's from that position there, the 2nd fret from that position on the 3rd string, and there is the D. That's called a modal D because 2 or 3 of the notes repeat each other, and technically some of the notes in the D chord are missing and others are doubled up, which gives you that lovely folky sound. Now we're actually now playing in E, which is an unsociable key, especially for Celtic music. A lot of people who use these capos use extra heavy strings, and they do detune their whole guitar by 1 note, so that when you are doing this, you're still doing it in D. And what it does is your scales, it's a beautiful scale, it just follows the 2nd and 4th fret, goes except on the bottom E, I'm hitting the 3rd fret. So, going from the bottom, the scale is 3rd fret from the capo, 2nd, 4th, 2nd, 4th, 2nd, 4th, and then 3rd again, then 2nd, 4th. Now you might note that I'm putting a drone note between each one of those notes. I'm doing that on the G string, which is the perfect drone for the Celtic sound, and all I'm doing. So it's now begging for melodies to be played. So on, and that's the partial capo. Now the great thing about the partial capo is that you've got the nut where it normally is, and we're pretending this is the nut. We can in fact put a normal capo on anywhere on the neck. Let's put it on the 3rd fret and put the partial here, and we have the same sound up 1 whole note, actually half a note. Now these are starting to become sociable, because if I go up there and there, this is now the G in G, and you can play with almost anybody who's been playing in G. If you go up 2 more, you're now playing in A. The only key you can't play in is D, because of course we'd have to detune the whole guitar to get D. But that's not all with the partial capo. By magic, if you put it on the 4th fret, blocking the same strings, and play C shapes, you get an open C or a modal C sound, and the whole thing is again repeated in C's. C there, D there, so it's down 2 frets. So we get that lovely D C sound. So we play lovely tunes. So almost any tune can be played in standard C shapes. If you play that as open notes, it's not a modal anything. It just happens to give you lovely open sounds. And technically, if you went up another 1, 2, 3, 4, you go to, what's the one before that? Go to an open A. No, open F. F, G, yeah. But that, you start to run out of frets. So you can double capo this in the C shapes, pick anywhere you want on the neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, stick it on, and there's a lovely sound. And it doesn't finish there. As it happens, open G is the same thing as dadgad, except you're dropping down 3 different strings. And if you turn the capo around and put it on here, blocking the 1, 2, the 3rd, 4th and 5th strings, and blocking those, you actually now got an open G sound. And that's be great for blues. Now the great thing about the partial capo, which guitarists realise, is that you get this lovely sound, but the minute you play a standard chord, a bar chord, anywhere up the neck, it goes into standard tuning, because it wasn't blocking the strings properly. So there we're playing a C, there we're playing an F, there we're playing a G. And so that's back to standard chords.